Have you ever been thrown away like trash, left to drown in a storm by the people who should love you most? My name is Leah Wells, 17 years old. My body frail from a neurological illness that's haunted me since childhood. And on one rain-soaked night, my parents made a choice that shattered my world. We were a family once, or so I thought. Mom baking chocolate cakes, Dad lifting me to touch the ceiling, my brother Caleb weaving bracelets with a grin. But as medical bills piled up and my tremors worsened, their warmth faded, replaced by cold silences and averted eyes. That night, in our family sedan, tension hung heavy, rain hammering the windshield like accusations. I traced fogged windows in the back seat, my medication haze dulling the dread creeping up my spine. They said nothing when I asked where we were going, but the tightening of Dad's knuckles on the wheel screamed trouble. What I didn't know then was that they'd already decided I was too heavy a burden, a drain on their lives, and they were about to leave me for dead on a lonely road, unaware that someone from my past was watching, waiting to pull me from the wreckage of their betrayal. Rain pelted the car as we drove through the darkness, each drop echoing the silence inside. My thin fingers pressed against the cold glass, my breath fogging it in uneven patches. Something was wrong. I could feel it, even through the fog of painkillers. The air was thick, not just with the storm's humidity, but with an unspoken finality. "Dad, where are we going?" I asked, my voice barely cutting through the wiper's rhythmic swish. No answer, just the flash of lightning illuminating Mom's rigid profile, her eyes fixed forward. She hadn't looked at me in weeks. My condition started at 12, tremors dismissed as nerves, then a cane by 14, a wheelchair by 16. Hospital staff knew me by name, and our savings vanished into treatments that promised miracles but delivered side effects. "We're almost there," Dad said finally, his voice flat, unfamiliar. The car turned onto a country road, trees looming like sentinels in our headlights. Pain radiated down my spine, my medication was wearing off. "Mom, I need my next dose early," I said, leaning forward. "You'll be fine," she snapped, colder than the rain outside. A memory flickered. My 8th birthday. Mom's cake with rainbow sprinkles, Caleb's bracelet with one string for each year. He'd left that same year after a fight with Dad, his absence a wound that never healed. The car lurched to a stop on a dirt shoulder, miles from anywhere. "Get out," Dad said, not turning. I laughed nervously. "What? It's pouring." "Get out," he repeated, fingers drumming the wheel. "Take your backpack. We packed your essentials." A small bag sat by my feet, unnoticed until now. "Mom?" My voice cracked. She turned, her face a stranger's. "We can't do this anymore, Leah. The bills, the care, watching you deteriorate." "I'm your daughter," I whispered, fear flooding my chest. "You're a burden," Dad said flatly. "No savings, no life left." Mom added, "The community stopped helping years ago. We can't watch you suffer." "So you're leaving me here?" I couldn't believe my words. No answer. Dad stepped into the rain, yanked my door open, and pulled me out. My legs buckled, pain shooting through my hip as I collapsed into mud. He tossed the backpack beside me, it landed in a puddle. I looked up at the people who'd once checked for monsters under my bed. No tears, no guilt, just blank faces. "Why?" I asked, teeth chattering. They didn't answer. The car roared away, taillights fading into the storm. I crawled to the ditch, tremors seizing my limbs. Headlights appeared and I raised a shaking hand, but the truck sped past. This couldn't be real. My parents wouldn't abandon me, yet the mud seeping through my sweater said otherwise. Time blurred as I slipped in and out of consciousness, rain battering my body. Then new headlights, dim and distant. Footsteps splashed closer. A tall figure crouched beside me, shielding me from the rain. A gentle hand brushed wet hair from my face. "It's okay," a man's voice whispered, familiar yet strange. "I never forgot you." Darkness crowded my vision as strong arms lifted me. "You're safe now," he murmured. My last thought was of Caleb's voice from bedtime stories long ago, before blackness claimed me. Warmth greeted me as consciousness crept back, a stark contrast to the cold ditch where my life had fractured. The crackle of a wood-burning stove filled the air, its orange glow casting shadows across a rustic room with wooden walls and exposed beams. I lay on a bed, thick quilts tucked around me, an IV dripping clear fluid into my arm. My soaked clothes were gone, replaced by a soft flannel nightgown I didn't recognize. Clean clothes sat folded on a chair nearby. Rain still pattered on the roof, but it was a distant, comforting sound now. Framed photos hung on the wall, mountains, a lake at sunset, a man's silhouette against a dawn-lit cliff. My head throbbed, memories of the rainy road and my parents' blank faces swirling like the storm. A tall man stepped into the doorway holding a steaming mug. Broad-shouldered, lean, with brown hair curling at his neck and deep blue eyes that mirrored my own. "Caleb." My voice caught hoarse. "Hey, Leia Bean," he said softly, using a nickname from a decade ago. I tried to sit up, wincing as pain flared. He adjusted pillows behind me with practiced ease. "How?" I stammered, my mind spinning. "Drink this first," he said, handing me tea with honey. The warmth soothed my throat, but the reality of my parents' betrayal crashed over me. "They left me," I whispered, tears stinging. "I know, I saw." Caleb's jaw tightened. "You were there?" He nodded. "I've been watching them for weeks. I had a feeling something was wrong." His words stirred old wounds. Caleb had vanished when I was 8, after a fight with Dad that shook our house. I'd thought he'd abandoned me too. "Why didn't you contact me?" I asked, hurt surfacing. "I tried. Letters returned, calls blocked. They even barred me from your school." His voice was steady, but his eyes held pain. "I left them, not you." He sat on the bed's edge, explaining how he'd been exiled at 17 for demanding better care for me, just as my symptoms worsened. He'd survived on odd jobs, homelessness, and grit, eventually building this hidden cabin to stay off their radar. "I've been documenting everything," he said, showing me a phone folder with bank records, timestamps, dashcam footage of that night. "They drained your medical fund, Leia. Reported you as a runaway to cover their tracks." The betrayal cut deeper. Erased, rewritten as the villain in my own story. "Why?" I asked, voice breaking. "Insurance fraud for one," he said grimly, "and to dodge responsibility for abandoning you." Tears spilled, years of loneliness pouring out. Caleb wrapped me in his arms, his own tears silent. "I'm sorry I couldn't protect you better," he whispered. As I sobbed, a leather-bound journal on the bedside table caught my eye. "What's that?" I asked. Caleb hesitated, then handed it to me. "It's Mom's. Found it in a storage unit under her maiden name. You should read it. There's more to this than I understood." The journal's weight felt heavy with secrets. I opened it, but exhaustion pulled me under. Caleb tucked the quilts tighter. "Rest now. We've got time to figure this out." As he left, I lay back, the stove's warmth wrapping around me. The journal lay beside me, its pages a mystery I wasn't ready to face. But Caleb's presence, his fierce protectiveness, sparked something new. A fragile hope that I wasn't alone anymore. My parents had thrown me away, but my brother had found me. For the first time in years, I felt the stirrings of safety, a family redefined. The road ahead was uncertain, but in this sanctuary, I could begin to heal, to unravel the truth they'd buried with me. The rain outside softened, and I drifted into sleep, clutching the promise of answers and the brother who'd never forgotten me. The morning sun filtered through handmade curtains, casting a warm glow across the wooden floorboards of the cabin. 3 weeks had passed since the night my parents abandoned me. 3 weeks of slow healing and adjusting to a reality where I wasn't utterly alone. My body still protested every movement, but the sharp edges of pain had dulled slightly under careful care. "Arms up," instructed Anna, a woman in her mid-30s with close-cropped dark hair and keen brown eyes. "Hold for 10 seconds. I raised my trembling arms, gritting my teeth against the burn in my muscles. Anna watched with professional detachment, but I'd learned to spot her subtle approval, the slight nod, the crinkle at her eyes when I pushed through. She wasn't just Caleb's friend. She was a former military medic, now working at a clinic 30 miles away, coming 3 times a week for therapy and medication checks. 7, 8, 9, 10. "Excellent," she said as I lowered them, sweat beading on my forehead despite the cool air. "You've gained 5 degrees of mobility in your shoulders." "Doesn't feel like much," I muttered, reaching for water. "Healing isn't linear, Leia," Anna replied, noting in her journal. "Your body's been through trauma, not counting the psychological hit." What happened? Such a mild phrase for the shattering betrayal. Even now, I struggled to accept my parents had left me to die. The cabin door opened, Caleb entering with a basket of vegetables, carrots dusted with earth, leafy greens, early tomatoes. "Garden's coming along," he announced, setting it on the counter. "How's the session?" "Your sister's progressing," Anna said, packing up, "but impatient." Runs in the family, Caleb winked. After Anna left, promising to return in 2 days, Caleb helped me to the porch, a comfortable chair waiting. Over these weeks I'd explored the property, what Caleb called the sanctuary. The cabin looked simple outside. Weathered wood, metal roof pinging in rain, but inside held solar power, an efficient kitchen, satellite internet behind firewalls. Beyond stretched acres of woods, a greenhouse for year-round veggies, a workshop, a stream for water. Most intriguing was the underground room, disguised as a root cellar, stocked with supplies, generators, and computers. It's not paranoia if they're after you, Caleb had joked, but the weight suggested truth. Now on the porch, blanket over my legs despite summer warmth, I watched him tend the garden. His movements were precise, lean muscle from labor, a far cry from the lanky teen I remembered. You never said how you learned all this, I called, gesturing to the land. Gardening, carpentry, off-grid systems. He straightened, wiping sweat. Necessity, mostly. Can't afford repairs, you figure it out. He joined me on the steps. Plus, a good teacher. The mentor? He nodded, expression softening. Frank, a Vietnam vet I met in Denver during construction work, caught me sleeping in my car during a blizzard, dragged me to his cabin, said stay till spring if I helped. How long? Almost 3 years. Taught building, growing, living trace-free, but mostly justice. Justice? Revenge burns you, justice lights the way. He turned serious. When I learned about you, rage hit hard. Frank helped channel it. The talk reminded me of Mom's journal, which I'd read slowly, fearing its revelations. Have you read it all? I asked. His face darkened. Enough to know something bigger's at play. Entries about a deal tied to your condition? You think my illness isn't natural? The question haunted me since spotting cryptic lines. I don't know, but we'll find out. That night, by the stove during a summer storm, rain cocooning us, I asked about his life. You mentioned a failed engagement. His smile was bittersweet. Hannah, 4 years ago in Colorado, environmental lawyer, smart, funny, wanted normal, suburbs, kids, family dinners. Because of me, everything. My past, off-grid life, nightmares. He sighed, tried 2 years, but she returned the ring, hoped I'd find peace. My heart ached. While I suffered, he'd sacrificed for me. I'm sorry. Don't be. I'd choose it again. Your family, unconditional. Sleep evaded me, dreams of abandonment without rescue. I woke gasping, sheets tangled. Next day, therapy collapsed me into tears. I hate being broken, I cried. Anna sat beside me. I left the military after an IED. 3 died, I got scars. She showed burn tissue. Tried ending it once, but my dog saved me. I gasped. Survival isn't enough, she said. You must choose to live. That afternoon, I asked Caleb for the computer room. It was time to investigate my illness. Timelines of treatments showing odd patterns. Doctors vanishing, symptoms worsening post-meds. As I worked, Anna burst in. You've been made. 2 men at the clinic asking about you with your photo. My blood chilled. Private, corporate badge. Later, a letter under the door. You were never meant to survive, stop digging. Caleb's fury was controlled. He showed security feeds, a sedan, a figure slipping the note. They found the cabin, I whispered, but not what we know. Sleep fled, shadows danced outside. As dawn broke, I decided, no more fear. I was changing. Sunlight streamed through the cabin windows, illuminating the pages of my mother's journal on the kitchen table. The threatening note from last night. You were never meant to survive, stop digging. Lay beside it, its words a cold pulse in my veins. But fear was giving way to defiance. I was done being a victim. The journal's entries grew darker as I read, one from after my 3rd birthday chilling me. Robert signed the final paperwork today. $30,000 deposited, quarterly payments to follow. He says this solves our finances, but at what cost? The doctor mentioned side effects. I should have said no. My stomach nodded. They sold me, I whispered to Caleb, who sat reviewing financial documents at the table's other end. When I was a toddler. He looked up, eyes narrowing as I slid the journal toward him. His expression hardened into cold fury as he read. Neurovance Research, he said, pulling up a laptop file. Their names on medical forms from the storage unit. Private pharmaceutical company, neurological treatments. You think they experimented on me? The words felt alien. Not just experimented, Caleb said grimly. Bank records show Mom and Dad got payments until you were 14, when your symptoms got too severe to hide. The betrayal sliced deeper. Not just abandoned, but used as a test subject. Memories flooded, special doctor visits where I'd be alone, strange-tasting meds that made me sleepy, weekly blood draws Mom called routine. They'd lied, profiting from my pain. "This is criminal," Caleb said, gripping my trembling hand. "Not just neglect. Human experimentation." That afternoon, Anna arrived with news, spreading documents across the table. She'd tracked a former neuroadvanced scientist, Dr. Rena Voss, who'd vanished from the field 3 years ago after leading a neurological trial. "She's teaching at a community college 200 miles away," Anna said. Reluctant, but agreed to meet when I mentioned Laya's symptoms. "Wants secrecy. No phones, no devices, her location." Caleb's eyes lit with purpose, but caution tempered his voice. "We need to be careful. That note means they're watching." The next morning, a black SUV lingered on the country road near the sanctuary. "Company," Caleb muttered, peering through binoculars. "Suits, not local." My heart raced. "Same guys from Anna's clinic?" "Can't tell. We're not chancing it." He grabbed a pre-packed backpack, his movements swift. "New plan, I'll draw them off. You and Anna meet Voss." "Caleb, no. Laya, this is our shot to know what they did to you." His voice softened. "Trust me, I won't lose you again." An hour later, Anna and I watched Caleb's truck roar past the SUV, which followed. We took back roads to a state park picnic area, isolated yet public. Dr. Voss was a small woman in her early 50s, kind eyes betraying nervous hands. Seeing my tremors, she whispered, "Phase 3. You were in the trial." I nodded. "I think so, but I never knew its name." She glanced around. "This is dangerous." "How much do you know?" "My parents contracted with neuroadvanced when I was 3, I said. "Payments for enrolling me in a trial." Anna added, "We suspect it caused iatrogenic damage to Laya's nervous system." Voss closed her eyes briefly. "It was meant to be revolutionary, neural regeneration for disorders. Animal studies promised miracles, but human trials." She faltered. "What happened?" I pressed. "Investors pushed, we cut corners. Safety ignored. 27 kids in phase 3, 24 had severe effects within 5 years. A chill gripped me. "And the others?" "One relocated overseas, one died in a questionable accident. You survived longer than expected. Why do they want me?" "You're proof of their crimes, Pat," she said, handing me a flash drive. "Trial protocols, patient data, memos on risks. It won't heal you, but it's justice." Her phone buzzed, her face paled. "We need to leave. They're asking about me, claiming to be family." We parted quickly, Voss heading west, Anna and I circling back to the sanctuary. Caleb wasn't there. Hours later, a text from an unknown number hit my prepaid phone. "Arrested. False charges. Lawyer needed. Storage unit, main state, key under third rock. Don't come, not safe." My chest tightened. "He's protecting us," Anna said, calling her lawyer friend. I decoded his message. The storage unit held Mom's journal and more evidence. Next morning, with Anna as lookout, I unlocked the unit. Inside, a filing cabinet held records, photos, recordings, and an envelope with my name. Emancipation papers, evidence of abandonment, a petition for a hearing. As we sorted them, my resolve hardened. This wasn't just about me anymore. It was about the other kids, the lies, the lives destroyed. I'd been their test subject, their burden. Now, I'd be their reckoning. The sanctuary's quiet felt oppressive without Caleb, the hum of solar panels and distant birdsong doing little to ease the knot in my chest. His arrest text, false charges. Storage unit, main state, key under third rock. Don't come. Not safe, played on a loop in my mind. Anna's lawyer friend was working to secure his release, but the filing cabinet from the storage unit sat in the cabin's living room, its contents a lifeline he'd risked everything to protect. Financial records, surveillance photos, recordings, and my emancipation papers spilled across the table. Each document a piece of the puzzle my parents and neuroadvanced had buried. I traced a photo of Mom and Dad at a fundraiser for my care, their smiles masking the payments they'd pocketed from my suffering. My fingers trembled, not just from my condition but from a growing fury. They'd sold me at 3, used me until I broke, then discarded me. Now they'd taken Caleb too. "We need to move," Anna said, her voice steady despite the urgency in her eyes. "Those men at the clinic, the note, they're closing in." I nodded, clutching Dr. Voss's flash drive, its data on the phase 3 trial burning with potential. 27 kids, 24 ruined, 3 survivors including me, living proof of corporate greed. That afternoon, Anna drove us to a safe house, a friend's farm 50 miles away, to plan our next steps. The rolling hills blurred past, but my mind stayed on Caleb's sacrifice, leading that SUV away to protect us. At the farm, we pored over Voss's files. Memos detailed ignored risks, rushed trials, and a cover-up when kids like me started collapsing. One name recurred, Dr. Paul Harmon, Neurovant's lead investor, who'd pushed for results at any cost. He's still on their board, Anna noted, checking online records. Lives in a gated estate now. My stomach twisted. They profited while we suffered. Night fell, the farm's creaking timbers amplifying my unease. I wrote in Mom's journal, my words beside hers, documenting the trial's horrors. A new entry caught my eye, dated when I was 12. Robert says Harmon promised a bonus if Laya's data shows progress. I begged him to stop, but the debts... She's shaking more now. God help us. They'd known my tremors were from the drug, yet continued. Rage surged, but Anna's voice cut through. Laya, focus. We need a lawyer to file Caleb's injunction and your emancipation. By morning, we drafted papers to protect Caleb and demand an inquiry into Neurovant's. But a call from Anna's lawyer chilled us. Caleb's bail hearing is tomorrow, but Harmon's firm is pushing the DA for harsher charges. They're silencing him, I whispered. Anna's eyes hardened. Then we go louder. We returned to the sanctuary, security feeds showing no new intruders. I insisted on visiting the courthouse to file the papers myself. It's risky, Anna warned. I'm tired of hiding, I said, gripping my cane. That evening, I found another journal entry. Harmon visited today. Said Laya's survival is a liability. If she talks, we lose everything. My heart pounded. They hadn't just abandoned me, they'd been ordered to. The next day, at the county courthouse, reporters swarmed as I filed the injunction. Laya Wells, one called. Why accuse your parents? I froze, then spoke. They left me to die because I was sick. But I'm not sick by chance. I'm a survivor of Neurovant's experiments. The words ignited a firestorm, hashtags like Justice for Laya trending by noon. Anna pulled me into her car, her face grim. You just painted a target on us. Good, I said, trembling but resolute. Let them come. Back at the cabin, a text from Caleb's lawyer confirmed his release was pending, but a new threat arrived. An email to Anna's secure account, no sender. Just a photo of me at the courthouse, and the words, cease or consequences. My pulse raced, but I clutched the flash drive tighter. That night, I dreamed of Caleb in a cell, his voice echoing, "You're never a burden." I woke gasping, determined to free him and expose Harmon's empire. Anna and I planned a press conference to amplify the story, using Voss's data to nail Neurovant's. As dawn broke, I stood on the porch, cane steadying me, the sanctuary's woods whispering strength. My parents had thrown me away, Neurovant's had broken me. But I was no longer their victim. Caleb had saved me once, now I'd save him and every kid they'd hurt. The fight was just beginning, and I was ready to burn their secrets to the ground. The county courthouse steps loomed like a mountain, each one a challenge to my trembling legs as I leaned on my cane, the weight of the moment heavier than my body's frailty. Reporters buzzed around me, cameras flashing, their questions a swarm I couldn't escape. Anna stood close, her steady presence anchoring me. 3 days after filing Caleb's injunction, I'd called this press conference, urged by his lawyer to make my story public, too visible to silence. The flash drive from Dr. Voss burned in my pocket, its data the key to exposing Neurovant's. My parents had left me to die, the company had broken me first. Today, I'd make them answer. I took a deep breath, the air sharp with autumn's edge, and stepped to the microphones. My name is Laya Wells, I began, voice wavering but growing steady. 3 weeks ago, my parents abandoned me on a deserted road because my chronic illness was too much for them. But it wasn't natural. I was enrolled in Neurovant's experimental trials as a child without consent, causing damage to 27 kids, most of whom didn't survive. Gasps rippled through the crowd. I held up a copy of the contract from Mom's journal, my hands shaking not from tremors but defiance. They paid my parents $400,000 to test an unproven drug on me at 3 years old. The words ignited chaos. Reporters shouting, phones recording, justice for Laya trending within hours. Other families posted online, sharing similar stories of unexplained symptoms after Neurovant's trials. By evening, the story hit national news. Caleb's lawyer called, "The charges are crumbling. Public pressure's working." That night, back at the sanctuary, I sat by the stove, Mom's journal open. An entry from when I was 10 read, "Harmon says her data's critical, but the side effects are worse than expected. Robert wants to pull her out. They threatened foreclosure. They'd chosen money over me every time. Anna scanned news alerts. Neurovant's stock is dipping, they're scrambling. But danger lingered. A new email warned, "You can't outrun us." Caleb was released on bail 2 days later, his arms around me as we left the courthouse, reporters swarming. "You did it," he whispered. "Broke it wide open." But the fight wasn't over. Dr. Voss agreed to testify before a federal panel investigating Neurovant's, her flash drive our strongest weapon. Then, disaster. Her home burned in a gas leak, her research destroyed, her credibility smeared by anonymous claims of instability. "They're erasing her," I told Caleb and Anna, fury rising. "So we go bigger," Caleb said. "National exposure they can't control." A respected investigative news program offered a live interview. In the green room, my reflection showed a pale, thin girl, but fire in my eyes. Caleb squeezed my hand. "Sure about this? No going back." "I'm done hiding," I replied. On air, I laid it bare: the abandonment, Caleb's rescue, the trial's horrors. The host, a veteran journalist, grew visibly outraged. "Extraordinary claims. Your evidence?" I handed over the contract. "This is what my parents signed. $400,000 for my life." She examined it, stunned. "You believe this caused your condition?" Dr. Voss confirmed all 27 kids developed symptoms. I'm one of 3 left. Then, unscripted, I stood from my chair, legs trembling, pain searing through me. The host gasped, "What are you doing?" I faced the camera, standing unaided for the first time in years. Doctors said I'd never stand again. This is what fighting back looks like. This is what they couldn't take, my will. The image went viral, a frail girl defying her broken body, defying Neurovant's. By morning, their stock plummeted. The Justice Department launched a formal investigation. My parents' lawyer issued a weak defense claiming they were misled. At the sanctuary, Anna fielded calls from other survivors' families, their stories mirroring mine. I added to Mom's journal, my words fierce. They thought I'd die silently. They were wrong. Caleb watched me, pride in his eyes. "You're unstoppable." But threats persisted. A shadow moved past the cabin's cameras, gone before we could act. Sleep eluded me, the weight of exposure both empowering and terrifying. I'd stood for the world, but Neurovant's reach was long. As dawn painted the sky, I gripped my cane, resolve hardening. They'd broken my body, taken my family, but not my voice. The next battle was coming, and I'd face it standing. The sanctuary's air felt charged, like the calm before a storm, as news alerts flickered across Anna's laptop screen. Neurovant's collapse was accelerating. Executives faced indictments, their stock a ghost of its former value, and the Justice Department's investigation dug deeper into the Phase 3 trial's wreckage. My press conference and TV appearance had lit a fuse, with Tash Justice for Leah still trending, and survivor families flooding our inbox with stories of unexplained tremors, lost childhoods, and corporate stonewalling. Caleb, free on bail, sat across from me at the kitchen table, his release a small victory against the false charges Neurovant's allies had pushed. His eyes, though tired, burned with the same resolve I felt. "You broke their wall of silence," he said, sorting through Dr. Voss's recovered data, salvaged from a backup she'd hidden before her home burned. The fire ruled a gas leak, reeked of sabotage, and anonymous leaks questioning her mental stability screamed cover-up. Yet she'd agreed to testify before the federal panel, her voice shaking but firm when we spoke by secure line. "They can't erase all of us," she'd said, her burns still healing. I clutched Mom's journal, its final entry haunting me. "If she finds this, run. They won't stop until the girl is gone." The money's gone. Robert's gambling took it. They know she shouldn't have survived. My mother's words, penned in desperation, confirmed Neurovant's grip on them, and now her death was near. A letter arrived from the county hospice center, her handwriting shaky. "Leah, I have weeks, maybe days. Lung cancer, too late for treatment. You were always the strongest. What we did was greed, not survival. You're you, not us." No tears came, only a hollow ache. She'd failed me, but her confession fueled my fire. Anna burst in, holding a printout. "Another survivor, Ryan, 12, just contacted us. Symptoms like yours, linked to Neurovant's." My heart clenched. He was so young, another casualty. "We need to help him," I said, my voice steady despite the tremor in my hands. Caleb nodded. "We're building a case, not just for you, but all 27. That night, we fortified the sanctuary, new locks, upgraded cameras, a hidden safe for evidence. Sleep was fitful. Shadows outside the cabin, no longer just trees in my mind. A week later, Voss's testimony hit like a thunderclap. She detailed ignored protocols, falsified data, and Harmon's orders to prioritize profits over lives. The panel was stunned. News outlets ran her words on repeat. But Neurovance fought back. Leaked emails smeared her as unstable, and a break-in at her temporary safe house destroyed her laptop. "They're desperate," Caleb said, checking our feeds. "Means we're close." My parents' trial loomed, their lawyer's defense crumbling under public scrutiny. They faced charges of abandonment, fraud, and child endangerment, their community standing in ashes. I didn't gloat. Their ruin was a shadow compared to the kids they'd helped destroy. Ryan's family visited the sanctuary, his small frame trembling as he gripped a cane like mine. "You stood on TV," he said, eyes wide. "Can I?" I knelt beside him, ignoring my own pain. "You will. We'll fight together." His smile was a spark, a reminder of why I'd spoken out. Another threat came, a package left at the gate, no sender, containing a photo of me at the courthouse and a single word: stop. Anna traced its origin to a shell company linked to Harmon. "He's scared," she said. "Good." Caleb pulled me aside, his voice low. "We're planning a national survivors summit. Families, lawyers, media, you'll speak." My stomach flipped. "In person?" "They need to see you, Laya, the girl who stood." I nodded, fear mingling with resolve. The summit was set for next month, but that night, I wrote in the journal. "They tried to bury us, but we're seeds breaking through." Dawn broke, painting the woods gold. I stood on the porch, cane steady, feeling the weight of Ryan's hope, Voss's courage, Caleb's sacrifice. My parents had sold me, Neurovance had broken me, but their empire was cracking. I wasn't just surviving, I was fighting for justice, for Ryan, for the 24 who didn't make it. As I watched the sunrise, a new text from an unknown number chilled me. "You can't save them all." Maybe not, but I'd try. The sanctuary hummed with purpose, and I was its heartbeat. No longer the girl left in the rain, but the one leading the charge. The morning sun spilled over the sanctuary, now transformed into the Wells Foundation for Medical Ethics and Survivor Support, its new sign gleaming at the property's edge. A year had passed since I stood on national television, trembling legs defying a broken body, exposing Neurovance's crimes and my parents' betrayal. The sanctuary had grown. New buildings for therapy and survivor housing, yet it kept the rustic charm of Caleb's cabin, its weathered wood a testament to survival. I leaned on my cane, watching workers adjust the sign, my legs stronger now, able to walk short distances, unaided, a victory doctors once called impossible. Caleb stood beside me, his face softer, the worry lines fading at 29. "What do you think?" he asked, gesturing to the sign. "Perfect," I said, warmth spreading through me. The settlement from Neurovance's bankruptcy, combined with donations after our story broke, had built this haven for those harmed by medical exploitation. Anna, now running our trauma recovery program, waved from the porch, sorting mail. "Letter for you, Laya," she called, holding a thin envelope from the county hospice center. Mom's final words, already read, tucked away like a scar I didn't need to touch. Neurovance's fall had been swift. Executives indicted, a survivor fund established, my parents convicted of fraud and abandonment, their lives unraveled by their own greed. I felt no joy in their ruin, only resolve to help kids like Ryan, the 12-year-old whose tremors mirrored mine. "Ryan stood for a minute today," I told Caleb, pride swelling. "He's got a good teacher," he replied, grinning. Inside the main house, a larger version of the original cabin, Anna handed me a schedule for the Survivors Summit. Families, lawyers, and media would hear from those Neurovance had harmed, with me as keynote speaker. My stomach fluttered, but the fire in my chest burned brighter than fear. That afternoon, Ryan's family visited, his small hand gripping mine. "You said I'd stand," he whispered, eyes shining. I nodded, kneeling despite the ache. "And you'll keep going." His mother hugged me, tears falling. "You gave us hope." Back on the porch, twilight painted the sky in purples and golds, fireflies flickering in the meadow. Caleb joined me, his presence a quiet anchor. "How did you know that night?" I asked, the question lingering for months. "How did you know to be there when they left me?" He gazed at the horizon. I'd tracked their moves, luggage purchases, a map to nowhere, the medical fund drained in secret. I knew they were planning something. Why not call the police? A bad feeling wasn't enough. I needed proof. his voice caught. "When I saw you in that ditch, nothing else mattered but getting you safe. Why risk it all for me?" His answer was simple: "You were never a burden to me." The words settled like a balm, redefining family. Yesterday's ceremony in town, where the council honored the foundation, replayed in my mind. I'd spoken without notes. I was thrown out to die, a burden discarded. But in losing my family, I found strength. In betrayal, I found purpose. The crowd's tears and resolve mirrored my own. Now, alone at the property's edge, the moon full above the trees, I stood without my cane for a moment, legs trembling but holding. Footsteps crunched behind me. "You okay out here?" Caleb asked, concern soft in his voice. "More than okay," I said, smiling. "I'm home." We stood under the stars, survivors of different storms, bound by an unbreakable thread. My condition would always challenge me, the fight for justice ongoing, but fear no longer ruled. I was living, not just surviving, my purpose clear in the Foundation's mission, in Ryan's steps, in the families we'd help heal. As the night deepened, I whispered to the stars, "I was thrown out to die, but I found my reason to live." The words carried on the breeze, a quiet vow to keep fighting, to keep standing, to keep being the voice they couldn't silence. The stars above the Wells Foundation glimmer, softer now, as if cradling the sanctuary in their gentle light. A year ago, I was Leah Wells, a girl discarded in the rain, my body broken by a corporation's greed and my parents' betrayal, my spirit nearly crushed by the weight of being called a burden. But in the quiet of Caleb's cabin, with Anna's steady hand and the truth we unearthed, I found something stronger than pain, a will to stand, to speak, to rebuild. The foundation, born from our fight, now shelters others like Ryan, their small victories a mirror of my own, each step a defiance of those who thought we'd fade. My parents' fall, Neurovance's ruin, and Mom's final letter linger like shadows, but they no longer define me. Caleb's sacrifice, Anna's courage, and the families we've united have woven a new family, one built on choice, not obligation. As the night wraps around us, the meadow hums with life, fireflies dancing, the stream whispering nearby. I lean against the porch rail, my cane resting nearby, and feel the world's vastness, my place within it, small yet fierce. The fight continues, but so does hope, a quiet flame that warms without burning. I am home, I am whole, I am enough.